This is the Drake Passage, the most dangerous sea route in the world, which humans have been avoiding for thousands of years. Many people assume that the main purpose of building the Panama Canal was to connect the eastern coast of America to South America and the rest of the world through a smaller route. And although this is true, it wasn't the only reason for constructing this canal. Another big reason to create the Panama Canal was to avoid the dangerous maritime region of the Antarctic Ocean, spanning 620 miles. They wanted to avoid this area. This is the point where the Pacific, Atlantic, and Southern Oceans meet. But why is this area called Drake Passage? And what is going on here that even today crossing it is like passing through death's mouth? To find this answer, we have to go back to the 15th century when a pirate named Francis Drake, a figure feared throughout the Atlantic Ocean, was established. It was a time when the British and Spanish empires were attempting to control the world. Francis was not just an ordinary pirate, he had the direct support of the British Empire. And on this support, he attacked African cities for the British Empire, robbed them and enslaved their people and took them to Britain. The British Empire was very happy with Francis, and that is why he decided to send Francis to break the control of the Spanish Empire in South America. The plan was for Francis to include cities on the eastern coastline of South America, and the village will sneak into the Strait of Magellan and then South America. Attack the villages on the western coastline and join British control. In the meantime, he will return to as many cities as he wants. The only interest of the empire was that the entire coastline of South America belonged to the British. Be under control. Drake in December 1577 on 5 ships with 200 people. He had just arrived in Argentina in April on this journey. There was a split among the people and Drake made about 40 of his splits, executed colleagues in Argentina and left their 2 ships there. He reconvened his journey on the other 3 ships. He crossed this strait. As soon as they reached the Pacific Ocean, they encountered a severe storm and the 3 ships were separated. The crew of one ship thought that perhaps Drake had died and they returned back to England. The second ship was separated in the storm and landed up in the Drake Passage and vanished there. Drake followed the ship to the brink of the Drake Passage, but seeing the intimidating seascape, he realized that moving forward meant certain death. At that time, nobody knew what lied beyond that point, because by then, a worldwide map, as we know these days, hadn't been created. Drake turned his ship around and headed towards the western coast of South America, where he sailed and looted along the western coastline and made a halt in San Francisco. He couldn't go back to Britain again because he was scared that if he faltered in that region again while returning, he might not make it through. That area was named Drake Passage because before this, no other ship had ever attempted to come to this part of the sea, and if any had, they probably couldn't survive to go back and narrate their ordeal. Drake had shared this with his closest aides. He thinks there is probably another world across the ocean or someone else. It's an island that no one has been able to visit before. What Drake originally thought of as island was Antarctica. For thousands of years, humans believed that there was some content here. Ancient Greeks used to call it Terra Australis Incognita, that is, the non-southern land, but no one had seen it with their own eyes. At 17th century, the British explorer Captain Cook set out in the house of the same president's continent. That's it. The whole Atlantic crossed the ocean and entered the South Ocean, but he saw Antarctica. Did not come, and on his way back his ship got stuck in the same Drake Passage and he barely escaped from there. Captain Cook never went to the sea again, even though it was Captain Cook who was considered the greatest explorer of the time. The same Captain Cook discovered New Zealand, and we have covered this story in this video. Captain Cook wrote in his journal that this president's continent was discovered. Hardly any human being has come as far as I have come. Now here the question will be in your mind that finally this track passage is so much. Why is dangers? In other places in the world too, oceans are found in UPS. So what's that here? In fact, Drake Passage is the point where on the coolness of Antarctica and hot water oceans of the Atlantic and Pacific meet and water flow as a result of this combination. In other parts of the world, oceans also converge in upwelling regions. So what's so unique about this location? Actually, the Drake Passage is the point where the cold waters of Antarctica and the heated ocean waters of the Atlantic and Pacific merge in upwelling areas. As a result of this mixture, the water flow amounts to 200 million cubic yards per second. How significant is this flow? To grasp this, consider the example of the Amazon River, the world's most powerful. Due to the strong current and the flow rate of 600, the ocean waves here can rise up to 60 to 80 feet, which poses a great danger to any ship. The meeting of warm and cold water in this area often leads to the creation of many cyclones. Furthermore, the incoming water from the Antarctic can cause the temperature here to plummet to minus 40 degrees. This point is also one of the most remote areas in the world. Antarctica is below and there is a treacherous ocean above. Therefore, if a ship has an accident here, it means that seeing these dangers, Captain Cook warned people in the 17th century to remove the idea of discovering the president's continent from their minds. However, it is human nature to explore what it is warned against, and that is exactly what happened. After 22 centuries, there was a widespread craze for exploration and discovery. Now, the sights of explorers were set on the South Pole. Now, the attention of all explorers was on the South Pole. In 1914, the famous British explorer Ernest Shackleton planned to explore Antarctica. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean, he reached the Drake Passage, where the sea waves thrust his ship into an ice glacier, resulting in the total destruction of his ship. Ernst left some of his companions on the ice and took the other 5 in a small lifeboat in search of a nearby island to seek help. He aimed to get help from there. After a month of wandering at sea, Ernst finally arrived at South Georgia Island. However, he described his 1-month experience in these terms. "This is the most dangerous part of the world's oceans, and my arrival at this island is nothing short of a miracle." Ernst also made the assertion that the Antarctic's greatest journey was left to man. Over the next 3 months, through 3 attempts, the rest of Ernst's comrades were rescued. Miraculously, no one lost their life throughout the entire expedition. In a similar incident in April 2012, a Brazilian businessman named João Lara was passing by on his luxury cruise ship with 4 others to film a documentary when suddenly a storm hit and 100-foot-high waves threw the ship into the Antarctic ice. Fortunately, the ship's radio was operational and they immediately sent a rescue appeal to Chile. However, the weather was so severe that it took the Chilean rescue team 4 days to get there, and everyone was rescued with great difficulty. In the last 10 years, many such incidents have occurred here. Although modern ships have curtailed the frequency of accidents compared to the past, all ships still avoid this route and instead prefer to go through the narrow Strait of Magellan rather than the Drake Passage. However, the weather in the Strait of Magellan is also highly unpredictable. Fog can roll in at times, and other times strong winds can start blowing, leading to very cold conditions. Nevertheless, the route through the Strait of Magellan is still safer compared to the Drake Passage. Before the Panama Canal, all commercial ships used to go through this route to Western South America and North America. After the arrival of the Panama Canal, this route became almost deserted. But this route is going to be crowded with seafarers once again. Because the Panama Canal is in danger, the future of the Panama Canal. We have made this video on what has put it at risk. Drake Passage is one of the 9 glories of our world. But this gap is also very important for our world because when the ice of Antarctica melts, all the water goes from here to the rest of the world's oceans. This Drake Passage is also an example that no matter how great our technology becomes, we are as helpless today as we were thousands of years ago in front of nature. If you like this video, then maybe it is a small thing for the channel, but we get a lot of motivation from it. See you in the next video with another interesting topic. Take care.